This is our time. And most importantly, at this hour in the studio is Andrei Sinitsyn. Hello. One person was killed and 5 others were injured as a result of Russian strikes on the Dnipropetrovsk region. Among the injured are 2 children. This was reported by the Regional Military Administration. Russia used drones for the strikes. In different districts of the region, private and multi-story residential buildings, gas pipelines, administrative buildings, as well as cars were damaged. Russia attacked Fastiv in the Kyiv region with drones. The roofs of a 3-story and a 1-story building caught fire. This was reported by the State Emergency Service of Ukraine. The blast wave also damaged a residential building and administrative buildings. Firefighters have already extinguished all the fires. Last night, the Russians also attacked the energy infrastructure in the Donetsk region. A significant number of residents there were left without electricity. This was reported by Ukrenergo. Emergency repair work is still ongoing everywhere the security situation allows. Ukrenergo stated that energy workers are doing everything possible to restore the damaged equipment as quickly as possible. In Okhtyrka, Sumy region, a multi-story building caught fire as a result of a Russian drone attack. The fire spread to apartments from the 2nd to the 5th floor. Rescuers evacuated 35 residents and also freed 7 people, including a child. Due to the threat of repeated attacks, the work had to be temporarily suspended. Despite this, rescuers extinguished all sources of fire. Last night, Russia launched 149 strike drones of the Shahed, Gerbera, and other modifications against Ukraine. This was reported by the Air Force of Ukraine. 131 UAVs were shot down or suppressed by electronic warfare systems in the north, south, and east of our country. The Russians continue their offensive, so Ukraine has no choice but to strengthen its defense capabilities and reinforce its army. This was stated by the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Oleksandr Syrskyi. According to him, this is necessary in order to continue repelling the full-scale Russian aggression in the future. The key focus of our efforts is not hardware, but people. Mobilization, recruitment, new contracts, and consequently, quality training. When it comes to training personnel, we cannot stand still. We must develop and move forward. I emphasized this during the monthly meeting on improving the quality of training. Oleksandr Syrskyi, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, on Telegram. The Russians have intensified their offensive in the Kharkiv, Donetsk, and Zaporizhia regions. Estonian intelligence warns, without a breakthrough toward peace, the armed forces of Ukraine will have to engage in prolonged defensive battles. This statement was made by Ants Kivaselg, head of the Estonian Defense Forces Intelligence Center. According to him, Russia's offensive in various directions was caused not only by changing weather conditions, but also by Russia's advantage in manpower, artillery, ammunition, and equipment. The supply lines of the Ukrainian armed forces are under heavy pressure. It is impossible to hold these settlements for long under such conditions. Drones play a key role in defense, but poor visibility limits their effectiveness. If no breakthrough is achieved in negotiations, the situation at the front will remain extremely tense, and Ukrainian forces will have to fight tough defensive battles in the coming months. Ansky Vaselg, head of the Estonian Defense Forces Intelligence Center, from a publication by ERR. The visit of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy to London. Today, he will discuss the United States peace plan proposal with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz will also be present at the meeting. This week, Volodymyr Zelenskyy will also visit Brussels. We spoke with Stephen Witkoff and Jared Kushner. I am grateful for the willingness to work together around the clock. The American representatives are familiar with the basic Ukrainian positions. It was a constructive conversation, though not an easy one. We continue to work. Ukraine deserves a just peace, and whether there will be peace depends precisely on Russia, on our collective pressure on Russia, and on the right negotiating positions of the United States of America, Europe, and all our other partners. Russia must be held accountable for what it does, for the daily strikes, for the ongoing terror against our people, and for this war. Meanwhile, UK Cabinet Minister Pat McFadden stated that the main principle of peace negotiations is to ensure that Ukraine has the ability to determine its own future independently. The principle of the negotiations is that Ukraine should be able to decide its own future independently. This is truly a turning point. Everyone wants the war to end in such a way that Ukraine is given the freedom to choose its own path in the future. This means a just end to the war, but also security guarantees for Ukraine in the future, rather than creating a completely toothless organization incapable of determining its own future. Pat McFadden, UK Cabinet Minister, in an interview with Sky News. The United Kingdom has introduced a program to protect undersea cables and pipelines from potential Russian threats. They announced plans to integrate autonomous vessels and artificial intelligence with military ships and aircraft to strengthen defense, according to Reuters. Ships and drones will use AI-powered acoustic sensors to detect underwater threats. UK Defense Secretary John Healey noted that the activity of Russian spy ships highlights the importance of protecting critical infrastructure. Today, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy will receive full information about the peace plan proposed by U.S. President Donald Trump. This was stated by Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council Secretary Rustem Umerov. According to him, over the past several days, representatives of the U.S. President have been working with the Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council and the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, General Andrei Hnatov. I am grateful for the constructive work. The top priority for the Ukrainian team was to obtain from the American side complete information about their conversation in Moscow and all drafts of the current proposals in order to discuss them in detail with the President of Ukraine. Together with all our partners, we must do everything to ensure a worthy end to this war. Rustem Umerov, Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine, on Telegram. The United Nations Security Council will hold an open meeting on Ukraine. It was initiated by Slovenia. This was reported by the Azerbaijani agency APA. The meeting will take place at 5 o'clock in the evening, Kyiv time. Slovenia's initiative was supported by Denmark, France, the United Kingdom, Greece, as well as South Korea. The specific topic of discussion is not yet known.
Subscribe to UATV English and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.